What's up, everyone?
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the channel. You're seeing the Iron Bros for the second time now.
AKA Iron Brothers, just so we clarify.
Yeah. No affiliation with the other Iron Bros on YouTube. Yes, Iron Brothers. How are we doing this week?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Doing good. It's been a couple days since we've seen each other now.
Yep. I mean, we did one video probably exactly 7 days ago.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about our first week of kind of training, how that felt, and then just kind of steps moving into the second week of training now that we're kind of up in the mileage a little bit. We're spicing it up with a couple speed runs here and there. Not hitting the hills yet, but we're starting slow. We're making progress. Yeah, just quick recapping. Last week it was like 19.8 miles, I believe, for the runs. In total with the long run of 7 miles. And then this week we'll kind of get more into detail onto kind of what each run kind of looked like, including our speed run for the week and our long run. But how do the runs feel to you this week?
The runs have felt pretty good. I think the short runs have become a lot more natural. They feel much easier now. And I think the rhythm that we're going at feels just very comfortable.
Yeah.
The long run this week felt a lot better. And I wanna talk about that specifically as we get into it. But let's dive into Strava real quick and just take a look at the ones that we did this week.
Yes. Sponsored, not sponsored, Strava.
Strava, hit us up.
Yeah, seriously. But it looks like we start off the week with quick little morning run, 3 mile. It's one of those routes that's kind of our go-to. It was a 10.01 minute miles. Yeah, no, just a couple hills here and there. But I mean, again, I think we were sitting around zone 2, zone 3 the whole time.
Yeah.
We're getting kind of in that comfy space with that 10-minute mile. I don't know if we'll pick it up in terms of speed per mile, but I just want to keep building that like zone 2 kind of endurance, get that aerobic training in.
Definitely.
Just so that when we do get to the marathon day, we're not gassed after like 16, 17 miles, you know?
Definitely.
So that was a good run overall to start off the week.
And really quick, I want to make a note that being in zone 2, and we talked about last week, being able to hold a conversation, that's what we've talked about aiming for and what we try to do. But I also feel like it's worth noting that at 5:15 a.m., it can sometimes be hard to carry a conversation when you're not even like coherent at that point. And I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just worth noting that like that is what we're striving for.
Yeah.
But some mornings it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we were starting at like 8 a.m. We'd be all chipper and happy after eating some breakfast. But I mean, we're literally rolling out of bed and hitting these runs. I mean, we're both just kind of so focused on our format right now in terms of just like keeping that chest high and keeping our cadence at the same rate. Like,
and I think
that takes up enough mental focus that we have at that 5 a.m. time.
And I think I am learning kind of what that zone feels like, just in terms of like, okay, even though I'm not talking right now, is my breathing really labored, or is it a task to try to get this breath in and out, or do I feel like I'm fairly comfortable? Not, too comfortable, still where I'm pushing myself, but comfortable enough to where it's still pretty controlled.
Yeah. I think moving forward, something that I learned senior year of cross country was like zone 2 training. If you're like not talking during the run, to be like in that comfortable pace. Another way to know if you are in zone 2 is like how you're saying kind of with the breathing. If you're able to have, I think they said more than 75 to 80% of your breaths through your nose rather than through the mouth. I think you're kind of in that comfortability zone or that zone 2, which is good. Moving on to the next day, we bumped up from 3 miles to 4 miles. We did 4 miles at a 9:48 pace, finished the run just under 40 minutes. And again, that one felt great too. Still that zone 2. Nothing flashy, nothing fancy. I didn't record our third run of the week, and that was probably arguably even harder than the long run. But do you want to go into kind of the speed intervals? Yeah.
So first time for me doing this, but we ended up just kind of choosing a loop in essentially the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And what we would do is we would do a minute on, a minute off for 10 intervals. Mm-hmm. And so the minute on was pretty close to sprint. I don't know how you would describe it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we were pacing out pretty far. I think it was like probably 6.5.
Yeah.
Probably down to even 6 minute mile pace for that 1 minute.
Yeah. So pushing for sure. And then the immediate next minute following that would be a very slow pace, like almost
walking.
Yeah. And just bring it back to
get that heart rate to like somewhat kind of like a basal rate.
Yeah. Even out a little bit. And then once that minute ends, go into the next sprint, the next speed interval for a minute. And then, like I said, back and forth 10 times. Yeah, we ended up just doing that loop because it made sense for us. We didn't want to try to time something to where we were working down and then back. Yeah. So loop worked for us well.
And that last interval was tough because the last interval, it landed on such a weird part of our route that we had to do almost the whole speed interval uphill.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like a little uphill, but it was pretty steep. And so, I mean, I almost threw up at the end, to be completely honest, but no, it felt good. My lungs definitely needed that taxing workout. 'Cause I don't know about you, but for me going into my long run after that, my long run was just like, this feels like a walk in the park compared to that.
Yeah. To be honest, the speed interval did remind me a lot of like football workouts where it was more of those like short spurts. And so it felt like it was kind of familiar to me.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't the worst morning I've ever had, but it definitely prepared me for the long run just in terms of like that lung capacity. I think, the challenge for me is building up that long distance, long period endurance.
Yeah. And going into lastly the long one.
The long one.
This was our first run in double digits in miles.
That's true.
So we went straight from 7 to 10. And so, mine was 10.2. I think yours was 10.2 as well.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
I did a pretty big loop just here in Newburgh. I started off the runs with like 10-20 pace for like the first 2-3 miles, and then after that I kind of got in a good rhythm, got down to like 9:50, 9:45, 9:40. At the end of it I was running like, I don't know, somehow like 8:45 minutes. So like it was probably because I wasn't running with you and like talking with you to have that kind of space. But yeah, I ended the run 10:20 with a pace of 9:29 per mile. Total run time was hour 36. But yeah, overall did some goos on the run, just some intra run nutrition. Put down about 60 grams of carbs in goos. And then with my drink, I did the BPN, Go One More Sport, intra-nutrition as well. And that was about another 20 grams of carbs. So I think it was closer to like 80 grams of carbs for the hour, which is good because my body, it's been over a year and a half since I've done the goos, since the half Ironman. So being able to like try the goos again and be like, it's like second nature. It's like, I didn't get gut rot. I didn't feel like any discomfort. My body was able to push through those times when I needed to like stop, take a goo, and then go. But
you felt the boost from them?
Yeah, for sure. I felt kind of a kick. It had 20 milligrams of caffeine in each as well. Yeah. And so ending the run at like 80 milligrams of caffeine was perfect. I mean, couldn't complain. My knees were doing good. Ankle joints were good. Yeah, just my body was tired at the end, but my mind felt very sharp throughout the whole run, which I think is going to be a thing for us in the marathon, is just kind of staying on top of like staying sharp, keeping the cadence, keeping the rhythm on point. Yeah. But how's your long run?
It felt good. My splits were a little more sporadic. So I felt like depending on, I don't know, it felt like my energy wavered a little bit from time to time, and the terrain kind of affected it a little bit because there were some points where it was uphill, downhill, more gradual, more steep. And so, my splits hovered between like anywhere from 10, 15 down to like 9:30 at some points. And it kind of just bounced back and forth a little bit. I think I ended up with an average kind of just under 10. And there was points when I felt like a 9:45 pace felt pretty comfortable, and slowing down more than that didn't feel comfortable. Which was interesting because there were times where I wanted to kind of slow myself down just to make sure I wasn't gassing out.
It sometimes almost puts more stress on the joints when you try to slow down. When I was feeling that in that long run, it was like miles 7, 8, and 9. I tried to like catch myself also, like try to slow down. But if I slowed down, I think the more I slowed, it was like more pounding on my joints.
Right. You got to
like
put a little extra pressure.
And my hips. Yeah.
I noticed that as well. But last week when we did, the 7 miler, I just felt like, at least mentally, I kept looking towards the end.
Yeah.
And so like as I got to 5, 6, 7, I was just like trying to get through it and just like trudging through the last couple miles. And this time I got to like 7 miles and I felt really good. And then as I was bumping up in those miles, 8, 9, 10, I just kept trying not to think of that as like the end all be all.
Yeah.
Because I knew that would, I don't know, it would be this mind state of, okay, just pushing and grinding it out just to get to the end.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't in as good of a rhythm
Yeah.
when I was in that kind of mind state. And so overall it felt a whole lot better. The ankles started to hurt a little bit towards the end, but they're feeling good now. I took some time to kind of stretch them out, and I think they just haven't been used to that high mileage. That's the farthest run I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
So
I know, man. It is getting up to mine too. Like, I mean, my longest run was just the half marathon and the Ironman.
Sure.
But yeah, no, we're kind of getting up into those like double digits.
It's really encouraging to have something like that under our belts now and have that complete, because it is, just shy of a half marathon. And
it's daunting. 10 miles is a long run. It takes time too. It's like over an hour and a half.
Yeah. Close to 2 hours.
Yeah. Moving forward this next week, I think it's gonna be good for us in terms of mileage bump up. We're going from 22 miles, 23 miles this week to 25. So the only miles that we're kind of adding on top is our long run, as well as I think another mile within the other 4 runs throughout the week. But the long for this next week is 12 miles. So,
man,
I mean, with the 10 under the belt, though, I feel like it's going to be very doable. Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to get to that 12th mile and be like, let's run another 1.1, just make it a half marathon.
Do you think we'll get this week the chance to run it together? Because like we said, both have been on our own so far.
With my work schedule this week, I worked today. I work Wednesday, and then I work Saturday. If you want to do the long run Sunday, we can.
Yeah, we might be able to do that.
Yeah, probably after church, though.
Sure.
Yeah, that early service. I would say, like, let's do it before service, but then it's like,
that's
we would have
early
to
morning.
We would have to wake up like 5:15 again. I was
maybe
like,
after.
Maybe on the Sabbath we should probably pipe it down a bit.
Yes, agree.
Yeah, we got some exciting news for everyone watching and listening. We got the extended details of our mock marathon kind of underway, and we got the rough drafts done. We got kind of some editing going on, but I'd love to kind of talk to you about it and kind of what we got going on. But our mock marathon will probably be the last weekend of November. The timing of that is just like based on work and then also availability. I know it's like a couple days after Thanksgiving, so I think most of us will have the days off of work, and then obviously with Thanksgiving you got the carbo loading. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to just do that.
When you say mock marathon, do you want to just explain what that is, why we're doing that specifically?
So pretty much the pure reason why we're doing the marathon, we're calling it a mock marathon overall because our objective isn't just the marathon. It's actually an Ironman in about 11 months. We're thinking of doing Ironman Paddington next summer in August. And so this is kind of just like a baseline assessment of like, hey, can we actually do a marathon if we want to do a full Ironman? Because a full Ironman does contain a full marathon in it. And so our thoughts were like, well, we both don't like running. Let's try running first and see if we can actually do this like in a day and not die from it. Yeah. And then once we kind of go through the marathon and see how we do, how we feel, we reassess, and then we'll kind of go from there. But it's definitely a test trial, test run for sure. And with it not being through like an organization or anything, it's going to be really important that we're kind of dialed in with our aid stations, kind of that intra-run help wherever we need it, and just kind of getting that logistical standpoint kind of going.
And doing it ourselves is going to save us money. It's going to be flexible to when we want to run in, when we feel like we're ready for it.
Exactly.
But yeah, like you said, it does take some logistical planning. Yeah. And Jake has been so gracious as to take care of some of that for us. So
yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah. So pretty much what it will be is it's a double loop around Newburgh, obviously 26.2 miles. We will start the aid stations at mile 4, and then we'll have just a moving caravan every 2 miles. So mile 4 will have an aid station, mile 6, mile 8, so on and so forth until the end of the race. Pretty much our goals in terms of like intra-run nutrition, we're going to try to reach for about 80 to 100 grams of carbs an hour, as well as around, I'd probably say close to 750 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium an hour, either through like electrolyte nutrition or even through the goose itself. Trying to stay on top of all that intra-nutrition while being on the run. But we'll have the caravan with the supplies for all of the nutrition we need. Any kind of last second first aid certifications that we need to get, we'll get. But again, it's just every 2 miles. It'll be late November. It's going to be cold. I think the average temperature, it said it might be around for that day, it's like 48 to 51. So it will be
a little bit cold,
a little bit chilly, especially like in the morning. It might be high 30s, low 40s. So, I mean, we'll see. And that's the beauty kind of with having a mock marathon and kind of doing it on our own time, is we can switch that day if needed in terms of if the weather's not like working out for us. It's just overall just trying to get that marathon under our belt before we think of anything else in the future. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the plans for the mock marathon and kind of the logistical side. I know we'll probably most likely have our wives be the ones that just caravan to each aid station. So
shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to the wives. Kind of moving forward, we just stay on top of testing out each aspect of the routes of the marathon. I know for my long run this last week doing the 10 miles, I did the first part of the marathon route from here all the way until like, I think there's a part at the highway by Providence where we cut back or keep going. So I did that first part. It felt good. I think there was only like one hill. So we're not messing with a whole lot of elevation gain. I think it's only 630 feet total throughout the whole run. So not messing with a lot of hills, but I'm excited to keep trekking away with this loop because by the end of all of our training, we'll get to runs that are like 18, 20, 22 miles long. And so we'll be able to pretty much do the whole route entirely even before the race, just for our prep. I think it'll be good.
Yeah. It's going to be cool to run that amount of distance and see like that much of the town. I feel like it was cool running the 10 miles this weekend and just like seeing all of that on foot. I don't know. It was just a different way of seeing the town that I'd never seen it before.
And I think this was the first time that I went on a solo run without music. Yeah. And talk about like, not like an existential experience, but more or less like I got to take in more of my surroundings during my run. And it was like in the morning time, sun was coming up. We're in the beautiful Willamette Valley. I mean, the sun just comes over that mountain and it just, God's glory over everything. It's just pretty amazing to kind of just get to run through that. And
he did something special with this area.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, I just like, I think it was like mile 4 or 5. I was like, man, we live in such a cool place to get to experience this type of weather during this type of year. Yeah. All glory to God. He's He's moving in places and he did a good job here.
Yeah, he did. He took a little extra time.
Yeah. I mean, moving forward this next week, we're hitting 25 miles for our total mileage for the week. How are you feeling moving into this next week?
I feel pretty good about it. I do have one thing for our morning runs that we haven't talked about a whole lot yet.
Ooh.
These came in this past weekend.
Oh, baby. I'm surprised. I don't even know what it is. Oh, I do know what it is. Okay, for the viewers not watching the video and tuning in on podcast, we got some beautiful reflector vests.
Open it up.
Oh, like, okay, here we go.
I did open one of these up already.
No way. Wow. Oh, it's like an actual belt and it's like a harness.
Okay, so check this out.
Dude, wait, does it turn on? We can flash them when we're running.
Yep.
Oh, that's hype. Oh, is it down here? Oh, there we go.
Come on.
Okay, so it looks like 3 different settings for the lights that we can do. It's like a flashing probe or strobe and then just a regular green light. But these are sick, dude. I'm so excited to wear this.
So yeah, for our morning runs.
It gets dark here up in the Pacific Northwest in the morning, so.
If anyone's interested, I can toss the link for these in the description or something, but you got on both sides, front and back, slower flash and then like the whole light.
Yeah, the whole light itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wanted to bust these out to show you for the first time because I know
these are sick.
You hadn't seen them yet.
Yeah.
And I made a little switch up before I ordered them just because I saw these and thought they might be cool.
Dude, yeah, that's hype. I'm excited to wear these, and I think our wives are excited for us to wear these too, because I know during our first couple of morning runs, it was like we don't have any street lights.
It gets sketchy on those back roads. Just pitch black.
Oh, yeah. So I think these are game changers for sure. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Thanks for showing me that.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we are putting this video, these chats on Spotify.
Yeah.
So it'll just be audio. So if you want to go check that out, or if you're just like driving around and want to listen to it, can't pull up YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
They will be on Spotify for Spotify under Iron Brothers. And then we'll try to continue doing the weekly videos on YouTube, also tossing the same audio onto Spotify. And then like we said last week, we want to get some action shots while running. So we'll hopefully get some GoPro shots and be able to get some clips of that. And then, if you have any questions about anything we're doing,
or
anything that's going on,
comments, you know, of like any advice, like
that too.
This is our first time doing this. And like, even though I have a little bit of experience, like this is my first time running over 13 miles in a single time, So if any of you have any suggestions, comments, let us know. Just say something down in the comment section, or just email us or get a hold of us somehow, I guess.
We'll figure that out at some point.
We'll figure it out at one point.
Bear with us.
One more thing before we close out today. You'll be seeing me a lot wear a lot of this GNP stuff, either like hats or like our training gear. It's actually my senior year college roommate's business. It's called GRÂCE. It's just pretty much is a clothing lifestyle brand that he created a couple years ago, and he's actually starting this training line that I'm super excited about. Hopefully, like officially, unofficially, we're being kind of worked under his belt with kind of this sponsorship and moving forward. But kind of his whole idea with his mission behind the GRÂCE is overall, as like God has bestowed grace upon us, it's our duty to bestow grace upon others. So I think it's a great reminder of like, hey, we get to do this because God blessed us with so many amazing things, and why hold it just to ourselves when we can show the rest of the world what we're doing and kind of share that knowledge, share that experience. And then if you guys need encouragement or any prayers, like that's what we're here for too. So just wanted to open that gate and open that opportunity for anyone, and just give a quick shout out to GMP, Spencer Panis, Instagram at Spencer Panis. We'll also link this down in the bio too. Yeah. Anything else before we close?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, closing out week 2, starting week 3.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Peace.
Peace out.